A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. I'm Ravi Gamage.
And I'm Piruni Karunaratna. Let's first take a look at our top stories for tonight.
Sri Lanka Navy joined Operation Prosperity Guardian in Red Sea, says US envoy. Indian Energy Secretary in Sri Lanka for talks on electricity project. Will Sri Lanka be paying 200 times more for electricity from Adani's wind power plant?
අපි ලැජ්ජ වෙන්න ඕනේ මේ වගේ කිවිසුමක් අත්සන් කිරීම ගැන. මේ ව්‍යාපෘතියෙන් කිසිම ලංකාවට දෙයක් කෙරෙන්නේ නැහැ. මේක වංචාවක්.
SLT Lanka Hospital's share transfer on hold. Shootout in Suryavava. Wanted criminal gunned down. CCD police inspector flees, citing death threats.
Starting off the news tonight, Sri Lanka had sent one of its Navy ships to support Operation Prosperity Guardian in the Red Sea, confirmed US Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Julie Chung, at an event in Colombo. She was speaking at the Pathfinder Indian Ocean Security Conference.
The U.S. continues to play an active role in strengthening Sri Lanka's capacity to protect its territorial waters. We have donated 3 former U.S. Coast Guard cutters to Sri Lanka's Navy and have provided a variety of other security assistance. We recently witnessed Sri Lanka addressing global challenges head-on and broadening its role on the world stage by sending one of those donated cutters to support Operation Prosperity Guardian that the President mentioned. The Sri Lankan Navy joined a multinational coalition of naval vessels in the Red Sea, Gulf of Aden, and the Arabian Sea from over a dozen countries to help safeguard the freedom of navigation and protect the busy sea lanes of commercial ship traffic from Houthi attacks. This is a clear demonstration of Sri Lanka playing an active role in helping to secure the global supply chain that benefits both Sri Lanka but also the economies of the world. Sri Lanka plays a vital role in facilitating the steady flow of goods as it hosts the only transshipment hub in South Asia. As you know, these supply chains represent the commercial lifelines for economies across the region and around the world. Not only is Sri Lanka contributing to the protection of those lifelines, but the Port of Colombo is facilitating that supply chain resilience by providing the storage and logistical movement of that essential cargo. And that's why the U.S. government, through our $553 million in financing from the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, is helping to further expand the Port of Colombo's capacity by nearly 50% through the construction of the West Container Terminal.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe presided over the forum that was organized by the Pathfinder Foundation in Colombo.
The Ukraine war, the sanctions imposed by the West did not result in the collapse of the Russian economy. It just shifted eastward. If you look at the amount of oil that is being refined in the Gulf refineries, it is far more than what is found in the Middle East. With the Russian and the Iranian oil, no one knows, we don't know what we are buying. But whole of the Russian economy shifted here. So Russia has not collapsed. But the Russian economy, instead of looking westward, has come eastwards. Secondly, Iran. Iran and Saudi Arabia has made up part due to the Chinese intervention. Third one is India. India itself become one of the largest economies, and Indian market will keep expanding till late 21st century. So look at the potential for India, which everyone has recognized. And next is Indonesia. And finally, South Africa. So you can see how the new power balancers have come.
According to many experts, Sri Lanka's sovereignty is threatened with the global power crisis. So where do you think Sri Lanka stands, or where has she positioned herself in this power grab, especially when it comes to this tit-for-tat events that's happening between India and China mainly?
You know, I don't think that traditional sovereignty today is threatened quite in the way that we are used to. We have an instinctive reaction, all of us in India and Sri Lanka, because of our colonial past. So our first thought is, oh, people are going to try and take our independence away. Today, when you look at world politics, states exercise control, influence very differently. They don't come and occupy your country. They don't bother with the cost of actually running colonies and so on. It's a very different kind of relationship. You build dependencies, interdependence. And that works both ways. That's why it's interdependence. It's not just a one-way dependence. I mean, if you need the world also needs you. So, for me, I'm less pessimistic. I wouldn't say, oh God, now suddenly we're under threat and our sovereignty is at risk. Yes, I think you have to look at sovereignty differently in a world where the economy is globalized, where you're part of global supply chains, where you have dependencies on the world, but the world also depends on you for some of what you produce, for what you deliver. Sri Lanka delivers, even its position is an advantage. That's why Colombo Port does so well, for instance. So I'm not so nervous as the people who you quote saying, oh, our sovereignty is at grave risk. I don't think so, not unless you allow it to be. And from everything I've known of Sri Lanka and Sri Lankans, no Sri Lankan is giving away their sovereignty easily.
Two Indian Coast Guard vessels reached the Galle port following the completion of a trilateral maritime exercise Dosti, hosted by the Maldives National Defence Force. Indian Coast Guard ship Samat with integral helicopter and Abhinav thus entered the sea of Sri Lanka. The ships will stay till the 1st of March 2024 and then visit Colombo from the 2nd to 5th March 2024 before departing the island.
A delegation led by Pankaj Agarwal, Secretary to the Ministry of Power in India, and Santosh Jha, High Commissioner of India to Sri Lanka, called on Sri Lankan Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara.
The delegation had engaged in talks with Sri Lankan officials on power sector cooperation between the two countries. Sri Lankan Power and Energy Minister Kanchana Wijesekara posted on X that they discussed the policy plans, progress and timelines for the implementation of the proposed power grid interconnectivity, 130 megawatt Sampur power project, Jaffna Islands electrification project and other investments in renewable energy from Indian investments. During a conference convened in Colombo, critical concerns regarding the pricing of electricity from Adani's Mana wind power project were brought to light. Notably, the proposed purchase price for electricity generated by this project is alleged to stand significantly higher, between 200% and 300%, than the prevailing global rates for a comparable unit of electricity.
It only costs 4 US cents to produce electricity. Therefore, according to a report, this is the alternative to traditional means of generating electricity. The reason we cannot accept this is that the traditional power plants are often decades old and the technology is also completely different. We consider wind power and hydropower generation. According to a 2019 report by the US on wind power, the average national price is less than 2 US cents per kilowatt hour. However, Sri Lanka is proposing for 4 US cents per kilowatt hour for Adani. It is clear that Sri Lanka is going to pay 200 or 300% higher than the average world rates to Adani. We can assume who pockets the extra revenue. Wind power costs across the world is dropping gradually. However, for the next decade or two, Sri Lanka will have to pay this fixed rate. According to this agreement, it is our future generations that will have to pay this rate. As per this agreement, within the next decade and a half, Adani will take away $1,250 million US from the country, while we will have to purchase wind power, which is a national asset, for US dollars from them. We need to be ashamed for inking such agreements. This project does not benefit the country. This is complete fraud, and our children will have to pay for it. This is a curse on our future generations.
The deadline for proposals from both local and foreign investors interested in investing in Sri Lankan Airlines has been extended until the 6th of March. The company is actively seeking an investor amidst the numerous operational challenges it currently faces.
The fate of the country's national airline hangs in the balance. The following is a Newsfirst special report.
As a flagship carrier of Sri Lanka, Sri Lankan Airlines has recently encountered a series of operational challenges. These issues include flight delays, cancellations and disruptions to airport operations. Let's delve into the specifics. Yesterday, 7 flights experienced delays and a decision made the day before resulted in the cancellation of 3 flights. Technical errors have been identified as a primary cause behind these disruptions. Last weekend, passengers faced difficulties due to delays in the airport ground handling operations. Ground handling refers to essential services provided on the ground. Minister Sirasa de Silva recently engaged with both trade unions and the management of Sri Lankan Airlines to address the flight delays. During these discussions, an intriguing incident came to light. A flight delay caused by an unexpected visitor, a rat that had infiltrated the aircraft.
He should have been aware. A flight does not fall apart at once. A rat was seen hours ago. Who witnessed it? Was it captured? How long did it take to capture the rodent? So, the flight did not operate until the 25th. It took 3 days to capture the rat. It is dangerous if the rat had caused damages to the wires.
Sri Lankan Airlines was grappling with an unexpected challenge. A mouse on board on one of its aircraft. The elusive rodent has evaded capture for 3 days. Minister Sirasa de Silva has weighed in on the matter, suggesting that the most viable solution is to sell the company. The State Enterprises Restructuring Unit, operating under the President's office, is now actively seeking interest from both local and foreign investors. The urgency of the situation has prompted the extension of the proposal submission deadline 4 times. Interested parties now have until the 6th of next month to submit their investment proposals.
If Sri Lankan Airlines cannot compete in the competitive world, it needs to be shut down.
The plan is now to shut down or sell Sri Lankan Airlines. As Sri Lanka's national carrier, Sri Lankan Airlines carry the country's image to the entire world. The airline's fleet, once comprising 23 aircraft in 2023, has now reduced to 22. Unfortunately, not all 9 remaining planes are operational. Urgent repairs are necessary. Notably, 2 aircraft obtained through Belgium's via the wet lease system have been pressured into service. Under this arrangement, foreign crews accompany the leased planes. Last year, Sri Lankan Airlines incurred a staggering loss of 73.6 billion rupees. This financial strain has hindered the repair of 9 non-operational planes. Despite these setbacks, Sri Lankan Airlines is not a monolithic entity. It comprises various interconnected components. Though the balance sheet is a loss, there are profitable segments as well. The airline's core asset, the planes, skilled pilots and dedicated crews are well known. However, other profitable segments exist. Sri Lankan manages ground handling services at Katunayake International Airport, a lucrative business. Sri Lankan catering is also not a loss-making entity. These divisions contribute positively to the company's financial health by providing services to other airlines. The engineering department can generate revenue even by repairing foreign airlines' planes. Sri Lankan Airlines boasts an extensive network of 111 destinations across 56 countries, which makes it an invaluable route network. Securing air routes is no simple task. It involves diplomacy and bilateral relations. Direct flights between nations reflect the strength of diplomatic ties. While financial metrics matter, evaluating Sri Lankan Airlines solely based on its balance sheet overlooks intangible assets. Selling the company required a nuanced approach, one that considers both profitability and strategic significance. This was evident in a recent media briefing in Colombo.
So now we understand that the government has a privatization process now. So if we talk from the board of directors, we have given proposals. Our proposals have been different. We gave the proposals even before the privatization process started. We wanted to probably sell catering, maybe or sell ground handling. We wanted to settle all the government debt. maybe at least half the government debt we would have sorted.
So shall we immediately take off ground handling from Sri Lanka and give it to some private party?
Sir, it's like this.
Then at least the ground handling will be done properly, no?
Sir, now, at the end of the day, it's a government decision.
Yeah. I will persuade the cabinet to do that. Because we have failed in ground handling now. Sri Lankan has failed in ground handling. Right? So you run the aircraft and catering also. Right? Ground handling, we will immediately give it to a third party who can come and handle.
The discourse surrounding the potential sale of Sri Lankan Airlines' profitable shares has intensified. However, the path forward remains complex. Let's delve into the intricacies. The company faces multifaceted challenges including operational setbacks and reputational damage. Notably, issues such as rat infestations, flight delays and travel cancellations have come to the forefront. However, concerns have been raised following these recent developments.
They are using their henchmen to create a platform to do whatever they please. The main asset that Sri Lankan Airlines boasts is its human resources. They have shown no interest in protecting human resources. The minister does not understand how long it takes to nurture a skilled employee. The minister is adopting a buy today, sell tomorrow process. This is not a tea shop or service center to undergo such a process. This is a workplace where training is required over a period of time. It appears that he wants to sell the airline to the best deal he gets. He does not understand that Sri Lankan Airlines, the routes and the staff have a high demand across the world. As trade unions, we apologize for the inconveniences caused to passengers. The employees are not accountable because the employees are doing their best.
The
Ranil Wickremesinghe government, including Nimal Siripala de Silva, is trying to sell off Sri Lankan Airlines. They are trying to do it based on the balance sheet. Is the balance sheet the only option to give value to the airline? Why can't they give a value to the labour force serving the airline? They are trying to sell off national assets for a very cheap price. State enterprises are bankrupt. Are the employees at fault? Who manage these enterprises? Governments appointed their close associates to top positions and they looted these enterprises through mismanagement. The employees need to show affection towards these institutions as well.
As we contemplate the sale of a used car, it is essential to strategize effectively. Our primary objective is to achieve a fair valuation that aligns with our expectations. If we try to sell the asset as it is, can we get an offer to meet its value? If necessary, we invest in repairs, aesthetic improvements and tyre replacements. These enhancements contribute to increasing the car's overall value. In the context of a Sri Lankan, is it recognized as a national asset? Rather than dismantling or selling it to opportunistic parties, we should explore avenues that benefit both the organization and the country.
In related news, the Court of Appeal issued an interim order suspending further steps related to the transfer of shares in Sri Lanka Telecom and Lanka Hospitals until March 12, 2024. This decision came after the court considered 2 writ petitions.
One petition was submitted by Lanka Mobile SARL and Petigo Commercio International regarding Sri Lanka Telecom. The other was submitted by Lanka Leasing Holding Limited and another entity regarding Lanka Hospitals PLC. The applications were called up in the presence of Appeal Court Judge D.N. Samarakon. The petitioner companies claimed to have submitted applications regarding the transfer of 50.23% of shares of Sri Lanka Telecom and 51.34% of shares of Lanka Hospitals. They allege that the Cabinet Committee overseeing the restructuring of the state enterprise rejected their applications without providing reasons. The petitions argue that the decisions of the Cabinet Subcommittee to reject the applications is arbitrary and unfair, violating the law. After taking into account the submissions, the court decided to issue notice instructing Finance Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, State Minister of Finance Jehan Semasinghe, members of the Cabinet Subcommittee for the Restructuring of Public Enterprises and the Attorney General named as respondents in the petition to present their arguments on the 12th of March. President's Counsel Kuera de Zoiza and a panel of lawyers represented the petitioner companies during the proceedings.
You are watching Primetime News. We're heading for a small break now.
Do stay tuned to Primetime News.
The Bhagavad Gita is a scripture that is scientific and universal, which means it's meant for all humans across the globe.
In-person Bhagavad Gita lecture by Sunandaji on the 2nd to the 6th of March 2024 from 6:45 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Buddhist Cultural Center near Tumula Junction, Colombo 5. Registration and details vedantacolombo.org or contact 076-279-6113. Media sponsors TV1, Sirasa TV, Shakti TV and Newsfirst.
Welcome back. A demonstration took place in Tamil Nadu advocating for the release of Indian fishermen who have been detained in Sri Lanka for illegally entering the sea of Sri Lanka. These fishermen are currently serving prison sentences. Notably, this protest coincided with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's official visit to Tamil Nadu.
Fisherfolk from Tamil Nadu protested in Pudukkottai. In a significant development, Rameswaram fishermen from India engaged in a dialogue with M.K. Stalin, the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, to address pressing issues related to fishing activities. Their primary requests included the establishment of a well-defined system for fishing in territorial waters and relief measures for Indian fishermen adversely affected by existing challenges. Simultaneously, the Indian media reported that the Chief Priest of Madurai has urged the Prime Minister of India to consider taking control of Kachativu Island. Meanwhile, the fishermen of Mannar responded to the unfolding situation by convening a press conference today.
If they are fishing in their territorial waters, there is no issue. The issue is that they enter our waters and loot our resources. There is no issue in them protecting for their issues. However, they do commit offences.
Today in Jaffna, Fisheries Minister Douglas Devananda expressed his intention to commence negotiations aimed at finding viable solutions to the long-standing Indo-Lankan fisheries dispute.
Last evening, I spoke with Tamil Nadu Fisheries Minister Anita Radhakrishnan over the phone and stressed the need to discuss this and find a solution. I told her that we need to end the pillaging of our marine resources. If a promise is given, we can start talks.
The relentless exploitation of Sri Lanka's marine resources by Indian fishermen remains a pressing concern. This issue is underscored by compelling evidence derived from satellite technology as depicted in these images. The visual representation reveals a consistent pattern. Indian fishing boats progressively enter the sea of Sri Lanka during the afternoon, closely approaching our shores only to depart by morning. Their fishing methods, including bottom trawling, pose a significant threat to local fish stocks and ecosystem balance. Amidst these challenges, Sri Lankan fisherfolk persistently advocate for a lasting resolution to this problem.
A suspect who had been sought in connection with several murders met his demise during a shootout with the police special task force in the Burutakhanda area of Suryababa. Furthermore, the police have confirmed that this same suspect was involved in the recent killing of Valle Saranga's brother-in-law in the Mahabaghe area.
Crime Watch.
On the 21st of February, a tragic incident unfolded in the Mahabaghe area of Alpitivilla, where a businessman, allegedly the brother-in-law of Valle Saranga, was fatally shot by two assailants on a motorcycle. The police, in collaboration with the police special task force, swiftly apprehended the shooter responsible for this heinous crime. Additionally, two individuals who aided and abetted the perpetrator were also taken into custody last Saturday. During the interrogation of these suspects, authorities uncovered that the person riding the motorcycle from which the shooter shooter emerged was found to be hiding in within a forested area in Andigama, Suryawaba. Responding promptly, a team from the Police Special Task Force initiated an operation in the specified area early this morning. Sri Lanka police said that the suspect in hiding opened fire on the Police Special Task Force officers using a revolver. In the ensuing exchange of fire, the suspect sustained injuries. The wounded suspect was admitted to the Suryawaba hospital but tragically succumbed to the injuries sustained during this confrontation. Simultaneously, an officer from the Police Special Task Force was also injured and received medical attention at the Suryawaba hospital. The deceased suspect has been identified as Nuan Lakshita, a 44-year-old resident of the Mealla area. Notably, he retired from the army on the 15th of January after serving for 25 years.
A person was shot dead in the Kittampahuwa area in Vallampitiya on the 28th of August 2023. The shooters had arrived at the scene using this motorcycle, and investigations revealed that the suspect was the rider. In addition, a person was injured in a shooting close to the Sinigama Devalaya in Meetiyagada on the 13th of June 2023. It has been revealed that the suspect was riding the motorcycle in which the shooter arrived. This was a coordinated operation between the Mahabaghe Police, Colombo North Crimes Division, Police Special Task Force and the Suryawaba Police.
According to police findings, the deceased individual was actively involved in transporting criminals via motorcycle for various illicit activities. Subsequent investigations have further disclosed that he received substantial compensation, 300,000 rupees each, for facilitating criminal operations in both the Vallampitiya and Mahabaghe areas.
The final rites were solemnly conducted for Roshan Kumara, the Chief Public Health Inspector and Treasurer of the Public Health Inspectors Union in Gaul, Karandeniya. On Monday morning, two assailants arrived on a motorcycle and targeted Kumara, resulting in his fatal shooting. The perpetrators swiftly fled the scene. As of now, the motive behind this crime remains undisclosed and authorities are investigating the circumstances surrounding Kumara's murder.
Still in local news, Sri Lanka police have launched an internal investigation concerning Duminda Jayatilaka, the OIC of the Organised Crime Investigation Division within the Colombo Crimes Division. Jayatilaka left the country citing threats to his safety as the reason for his departure.
Duminda Jayatilaka, who served as the OIC of the Organised Crime Investigation Division within the Colombo Crime Division, has addressed the media regarding his recent departure.
In recent times, I was able to arrest all the suspects linked to all the murders that took place in Colombo. During the course of the investigations, underworld gangs were nabbed and at the same time, death threats were made to me, my wife and daughter. Despite these threats, I continued to perform my duties. When I left Sri Lanka on the 14th, I had completed the investigations into the poisoning of two suspects at the Wolfendal Station Police. I left the country due to the growing number of threats and I realized there was no safety for me in the country. The situation was such that my family was losing freedom to survive. I took my family out of my official residence and placed them in hiding. This was because their lives were under serious threat. I requested that their protection be secured so that their lives are not harmed.
According to official sources, Police Inspector Duminda Jayatilaka has been granted leave from the 14th of February to the 6th of March. Sri Lanka Police said that as a precautionary measure, Inspector Jayatilaka was provided with a service pistol for personal safety during his time away from duty. However, upon commencing his leave, he returned the firearm to the police authorities.
He had applied for personal leave and leave on no pay. he had gone overseas using the leave that he applied for. The information has come to light after he went overseas and after it was revealed on social media. A letter and several recordings have been released. A video of the officer in question was also published. An investigation is ongoing. The officer in question had not made any indication during his time at the Colombo Crimes Division over such threats. The Colombo Crimes Division said there was no report of anyone threatening him or incidents of threats made against him.
මරණ තර්ජනයක් තිබෙන බවට යම්කිසි අවස්ථාවක යම්කිසි පුද්ගලයෙක් යම්කිසි තර්ජනයක් කිරීමක් පිළිබඳව තමයි වාර්තා කරලා තිබුණු බවට කන්නේ.
Sri Lanka's Foreign Minister Ali Sabri, speaking to the UN Human Rights Council session, noted that selective country-specific resolutions and intrusive mechanisms risked overshadowing the Council's vital work.
As the international community is aware, over the past year, while economic recovery was a foremost priority to Sri Lanka, the government continued to take tangible steps in the interest of national unity and reconciliation as key priorities. We are acutely aware of the challenges that lie ahead and the socio-economic hardship that the people continue to face. Sri Lanka remains committed to protecting vulnerable segments of the society, including through targeted social protection measures and subsidies. I take this opportunity to reaffirm Sri Lanka's commitment to engaging in constructive human rights processes while rejecting politicized and unilateral measures that infringe upon the sovereignty of member states. Sri Lanka reiterates its categorical rejection of the extensive external evidence gathering mechanism established following the Resolution 46/1 and 51/1, which will have a wide-ranging legal and political implication for all countries, contradicting the founding principles of the Council. This ever-expanding mechanism will be unproductive and unhelpful drain on the resources of the Council and its members. I urge the members of this Council not to allow short-term political gains or, as it's now been termed, as domestic vote bank politics to overtake the important work of this Council. The Council is already traversing the same path as its predecessor, the Commission on Human Rights, with disproportionate scrutiny and focus on countries of the Global South, with a host of selective country-specific resolutions and intrusive mechanisms.
Will the next election be a presidential election or a general election? Chief Government Whip Minister Prasanna Ranatunga expressed his opinions in Galle today.
When's the election?
He's saying a lot of different stories. The president clearly told that the money has been allocated for the presidential election and the general election next year. This year there will be a presidential election. It is a different matter if the opinion of that person is prioritized than the opinion of the president.
The opposition leader expressed his concerns over the actions of the Speaker of Parliament at Kakiraba today.
The current Speaker of the Parliament has violated the Constitution as the Chairman of the Constitutional Council. Proposed in the name of the Inspector General of Police was not in the agenda on that day. The Speaker will get a decisive vote to approve or reject if there is a 4-4 division. How can the Speaker assume that the 2 votes that abstained are 2 votes against? He says that he gave his decisive vote as the 5th vote to approve. How can he go against the Constitution? We will definitely bring a no-confidence motion against him for this illegal act.
The chief opposition whip says that discussions are being held with the other parties regarding the appointment of the Inspector General of Police that took place at the Constitutional Council.
We are discussing with the other parties to take a joint action. Definitely. We want a good person, a role model, because they are the ones who can enforce the law.
This is the stance of parliamentarian Dallas Alha Peruma.
This paves the way for the collapse of the entire system. Ranil Wickremesinghe is paving the way for the collapse of the constitution. This is like a suicide attack. Ranil will have to keep in mind that he will have to decide if he prefers the H wing of the Valikada prison over his own.
H වාට්ටුව ලිපිනේ විදිහට තෝරගන්න වෙයි කියලා මනසේ තියාගන්න ඕනි.
This was the response of Saman Ratnapriya, who represents the government.
The opposition has a need to bring in a no-confidence motion once every 3 to 4 months in order to further their political journey. However, that is not what the people want. This is done entirely according to their party's political agenda. When they attend discussions, they do not express opinions or voice objections. Therefore, we can see that the opposition is engaged in futile attempts to bring a no-confidence motion that they will eventually lose. He had many charges against him along with verdicts from some courts too. But over the past 3 months, he created an environment where he could work fearlessly as the Inspector General of Police to address the issues in the country. The situation has been brought under control to a certain extent by now. I believe that the President made this appointment taking into consideration factors such as seniority as well. I believe this is a justifiable appointment.
The remains of the late former Minister of Finance, Ronnie DeMille, were placed at his residence at Charles Drive, Kolpiti from 1 p.m. this afternoon.
His remains will lie at his residence until 1 p.m. tomorrow. Ronnie DeMille passed away last night at the age of 99.
Ronnie DeMille passed away last night while receiving treatment at a private hospital in Colombo at the age of 99. Ronnie DeMille, who is known as the individual who took lead in the process of introducing the open economy to Sri Lanka, is the Minister of Finance who presented the budget the most times in Sri Lanka. Ronnie DeMille was appointed as the Minister of Finance and Procurement in 1977 and remained in that position until 1988. Ronnie DeMille is much respected for his contribution towards the establishment of the University of Ruhana. His remains will lie at his residence till 1 p.m. tomorrow for the public to pay their final respects and will be taken to the University of Ruhana in a motorcade thereafter, where his final rites will be conducted.
Well, that is a look at your primetime news for this Wednesday evening. I'm Ravi Gamage.
And I'm Piruni Karunaratna. Thank you for watching and good night.